so pretty when you blend, shawty.
Thanks, bae.
You're so beautiful. I love the way you blend. Oh my god, no one here blends as well as you. You are my queen.
Okay. Oh, damn, you like muscling me.
Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa.
Hey guys, what is up? What's going on? It's your girl Ashley. Welcome back to the channel. So for today's video, I'm gonna be doing kind of like a review slash full-on demo on the brand new ABH Norvina palette. This was highly requested from you guys, and honestly, when I saw that they were dropping this, I knew immediately that I wanted it for the simple fact that it is completely different than a lot of the other palettes they've dropped in the past. So I did want to kind of play around with this, experiment with it. Keep in mind, this isn't going to be the only look I do with this palette, so stay tuned for more tutorials using this palette because I definitely want to show you guys how to create a number of looks using it. Okay, so if you guys are new here, don't forget to press that subscribe button, and also don't forget to turn on your post notifications so that you guys are notified anytime I upload a new video, which is 3 times a week every single week. And without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and hop into the look. I bet you guys were expecting to see me barefaced, but not so fast. I do want to spill a little bit of tea on the Norvina palette. So first and foremost, this is what the packaging looks like. It's the same velvet packaging we are used to seeing with ABH palettes. The only downside to the velvet packaging is that it gets extremely dirty, and after that, it's like, it's done. Like you can't really clean her. Like, check out my soft glam palette. She is tore up from the floor up, but I mean, I still love her. It doesn't affect the actual shadows that are inside. So the palette does retail for a standard $42, pretty standard with ABH palettes, which I love. The only thing that's different about the Norvina palette is that for the first time ever, we have a total of 7 shimmer shades. I also love how she put all these shimmer shades directly at the top, and then she has all of the mattes right here at the bottom. In comparison to the soft glam palette, you can see that they are set up pretty differently. The shimmers are kind of spread out throughout the palette, whereas the Norvina palette, she has all of these shimmers directly at the top. I did quickly want to note that the soft glam palette has only 5 shimmers, whereas the Norvina one has 7, like I said. So I really like how they evenly distributed the finishes throughout the palette. It's different than anything we have seen from ABH. If you had to ask me what palette should I pick up, soft glam or Norvina, I feel like they are completely different palettes. You guys know the soft glam palette is that neutral warm tone palette that we all know and love, whereas the Norvina one, I love that it has a mixture between cool tones and also warm tone shades. So I think that this palette is going to work really, really well for people who want to incorporate color into their everyday makeup routine without going with like the neon yellows and the blues. This is going to add a subtle amount of color into your day-to-day routine. So I feel like it's worth the splurge. If you guys don't want to splurge on it and you guys want to have the opportunity to win a palette, I am giving one away. So definitely check out my Instagram. It is at Makeup by A. Marie. I will have all the rules listed over there. So I have one for you and one for me. So definitely check that out. And with that, we're just going to go ahead and jump into the tutorial. All right, you guys. So first and foremost, we're just going to go ahead and jump into it. I have my Norvina palette right here. Same packaging as Soft Glam. Same packaging as Modern Renaissance. So I have both of these palettes right here. Love, love, love these 2 palettes to pieces. So I think I'm really going to like this one. One of the main reasons I'm really stoked for it is because it's completely different than Modern Renaissance and Soft Glam. Oop, I'm blinding you guys. So when you look at the palette, you can definitely see that there is a mixture between cool tones and warm tones, which honestly is something I really, really like. I really like to play around with purples. I don't use them as often as I should on my channel. So I really think that this palette is going to be an amazing addition to my makeup collection. So I'm going to zoom you guys in. We're going to go right up close and personal so that way you can see my blending and all of that goodness. So looking at the palette, there are so many different colors to choose from, but I think my thought process is that I'm going to try to use as many colors as I possibly can within the palette while still making the look somewhat wearable. So we're gonna roll with that. I'm gonna take my Morphe M441 and I'm gonna pick up the shade called Love, which is a really beautiful kind of like soft pinky shade, but still like a little bit more mauve. And I'm gonna run this right here into my crease. I'm actually just going to stamp it in my crease. I do want to note that I dipped into Love twice, and that's the kind of kickback I got in the pan. It does appear to be a lot. Hopefully it's nothing too crazy like Subculture, but we'll see. So once I have that color called Love placed in the very outer corner, but in my crease, I'm going to take a clean Morphe M441 and I'm going to lightly feather it alongside these edges to diffuse it just a little bit. Fun fact, you guys, if you live in Tampa, there's a Morphe store opening up in International Mall. I just saw it recently and I was pretty excited, so hi! So I do want to note, after buffing out the edge, I did lose a little bit of the pigmentation in the process. So I'm going to tap into that shade once again and just stamp her on the outer part of the eye, just to kind of intensify her a little bit more. You guys know whenever I do my eyeshadow application, I really like for my shadows to appear super vibrant and opaque. So I do layer them on to their full intensity. All right, so I think that shadow built up pretty nicely in the very outer corner of my eyelid. The shade I'm most excited to use in this whole entire palette though is called Wild Child, which is that really beautiful kind of like shimmery pink shade right here. So I'm gonna take her. Also, don't mind my nail. I broke it when I was packing up mystery makeup boxes, so it is what it is. So I'm not really feeling like I want to cut my crease for this look. However, I do really want to carve out the very inner parts of my lid. So I am going to take a Morphe M421, which is just a flat concealer brush. I'm going to pick up a little bit of the shade called Wild Child, and I'm going to spray her with some Fix Plus, and I'm just going to pop her straight on to the lid. Ooh, girl, that is beautiful. Hold up, rewind. I said I didn't want to cut my crease, but after applying that shade, I'm noticing that I kind of want to now, just because I do want a super opaque, super crisp inner part of the lid. So I'm going to take a lip brush by Smashbox and I'm going to kind of carve out this inner part right here. And as I'm carving out my lid right here, I'm getting it a little bit on the shade called Wild Child, but it's okay. It'll all come together. Now that I've taken the time to cut my crease, I'm going to pick up a little bit of the shade called Wild Child. I'm going to spray her with some Fix Plus and I'm going to pop her all over this part of my lid. One thing I will say about the shade called Wild Child, which is this pink shade I'm packing onto the lid, is I feel like I really have to build her up to get it to be this opaque. So just be mindful of that. I feel like she does go on pretty sheer, but the more and more you build her, the better she looks. I'm gonna switch over to using a Sigma E57 and I'm just gonna kind of pack this towards the very center of the lid like so. And the reason I switch brushes is just because I do want a little bit more of a fluffy brush for this step, because I do want it to be a little bit more diffused, whereas the other brush was a little bit more stiff, so I was able to concentrate the color in a certain area, whereas now I just want it to be very soft and diffused on the center of my lid. The next shade I'm going to take in the palette is called Rose Gold, and it is just that. It is a true rose gold, and I'm going to take it on the same Sigma brush, spray it just a little bit, and I'm going to pop it right next to this shade right here called Wild Child. And I really want these colors to kind of just like gradate into each other. So I'm really just taking my time to marry the colors together. So I did get a little bit of fallout from that rose gold color. I'm going to take a little bit of the Too Faced Born This Way powder, and I'm just going to kind of dab a little bit of this underneath the eye to catch any fallout, just because I've already done my base. Normally I'll do my base last, but for the sake of timing of this video, I did want to do it first. So I'm going to take a little bit of powder and I'm going to kind of just lay her under here to catch any of that fallout. All right, so I'm going to go right back into that shade called Love, and I'm going to continue to build her up right here towards the very outer corner. Then with a clean Morphe M441, I'm going to buff her out. Okay, so far I feel like the eyes are looking very pretty and very fresh, but I do want to amp it up a little bit. So I'm gonna go in with a pencil brush by Morphe. This is the Morphe M321, and I'm gonna pick up a little bit of the shade called Volatile, and I'm going to place her right here towards the very base of the lash. And as you can see, she's a really beautiful kind of like cool tone muted taupe. And I'm going to take her and I'm just going to kind of press her towards the base of the lash. I am going to switch over to using a Morphe M507, and I'm going to tap her right here while also blending at the same time. So I will say I'm really liking how the shade is blending on the very outer portion of my eyelid. So I'm just really just intensifying her right here. I want the deepest color to sit right here towards the outer V. And then as I continue to layer on the shade, I'm going to take my brush and I'm gently going to wiggle her back and forth. So that way the color gradiates very nicely into the other shades. Now that I have that color placed, I'm going to go in with the Morphe M441 with a little bit of the shade called Volatile. And then I'm just going to take her and blend her closest to the outer corner right here and just inwards a little bit. So if I had to say anything about this eye look, is that I'm kind of getting like Urban Decay Naked 3 vibes. Not to say that the Norvina palette looks anything like Naked 3 by Urban Decay, but I feel like the colors I chose are very much comparable to those that are in the Naked 3 palette. So yeah. The next shade I'm going to take in the palette is called Passion, which is a really deep mulberry shade. This is the shade that I'm like most excited about. I'm really going to use this shade to really just amp up this very outer corner right here. Like this look went from being very like fresh to very just like, whoo, we just got smoky, smoky, smoky. I'm going to take a Morphe M441 and I'm just going to kind of take her alongside the edge just so that way things are super blended. You guys know we don't like harsh edges at all, so you really just want to make sure you take the time to go right back in every time you are kind of adding color and intensifying the shade to blend, because it's super important. Trust me, it's going to change the game for you. Moving on, I'm going to start working on my very lower lash line. I'm honestly like a little bit like about the look I chose. I felt like I could have did something a little bit more like, you know, unique, but I guess I felt like being a basic bitch today. I'm going to pick up the shade called Passion on a flat definer brush by Sigma, and I'm going to run her right here on my very lower lash line. I'm actually going to stamp her at first. So I'm just pressing her right here. I feel like this color comes out a little bit different than it looks in the palette. Like in the palette, I feel like it's going to have a little bit more of like a red undertone, but when I put it on my eye, it does look like it has like that hint of purple going on, so that's a little bit disappointing, but nonetheless I am going to try to smoke her out with a Sigma E25. I'm just going to run this right alongside the edges just because I do want my lower lash line to be a little bit more sultry and sexy, you know what I mean? So I'm going to just continue to blend. As you guys can see, I'm not taking this color all the way towards the very inner part of the lower lash line just because I don't want to completely close off this look. I still want her to be a little bit more open towards the very inner part. All right, because I feel like this look needs like a little bit more like oomph. I feel like it needs like something a little bit different because she's looking pretty basic, like super basic. So I'm going to take the shade called Dreamer, which is a really beautiful kind of shimmery champagne color. I'm going to take her on a pencil brush, spray her with some Fix Plus, and I'm going to pop her right here in the very inner part of the eyelid, just to add a little bit more light right in this area, like so. After doing that, I'm gonna kind of switch up the pace a little bit. I wasn't originally gonna do this, but I'm kind of feeling like this look is pretty similar to looks I've done in the past, so I'm gonna take a Sigma E35, and I'm gonna spray her with some Fix Plus, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pop this purple right here on the center of the lid, so that way it gradiates from pink to purple, and I know I applied that rose gold shade there in the beginning, but I want something a little bit different, you know what I mean? Jelly bean, so we're gonna pop her right here. So I definitely feel like the purple kind of changed things up for the better. I'm gonna go right back into the shade called Wild Child, and I'm just gonna marry these two colors together by just wiggling my brush back and forth for more of a seamless blend. I'm picking up a little bit of Drama, and I'm popping Drama right here on the very outer corner. And this is more of like a deep purple with like a little bit of shimmer. I kind of feel like it's like an overspray of shimmer and not so much like a shimmery purple color, if that makes sense. I really like it on the outer corners though. I feel like it just really like intensifies the look, if you feel me. For the most part, shadow is done. I'm now going to go in with gel liner. I'm going to use this by Tarte. This is one of their clay pots, and I love it. I did mention it in a recent favorites video, so if you guys haven't seen that, I'm actually going to link it up in the card so you can check it out. I'm using a MAC 210 liner brush, and I'm just going to create an intense cat eye wing. Bitch didn't come to play games. I didn't come to play games. What I'm gonna do now is I'm going to do a mascara and falsies, and then we'll come right back and regroup. Okay guys, so I went ahead and did liner and popped on lashes. The last thing I'm gonna do is I'm actually just gonna go in with a nude liner on my lower waterline. This one is by Rimmel. It's one of my absolute favorites. It stays put and it honestly does not move throughout the day. It's just gonna give me more of like a bright-eyed effect. Ooh, you can definitely see just like how much of a difference that makes. Like, I feel like it just opens the eyes so much. But I'm now just gonna go ahead and finish off the look with lips. I'm gonna use this Nars liquid lipstick set. This is the Undressed set. It has 2 matte lipsticks and then 2 glosses. I'm gonna use this one right here. This one is called Antigua, and I'm just gonna go ahead and fill in my lips completely. Now I'm just topping it off with a velvet lip glide directly over top, and this one's called Stripped. And to finish off the look, I'm gonna use the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist to just set down my entire face. And just like that, you guys, this is the final and completed look. I honestly do like the way it came out. However, I do kind of wish I would have switched it up just a little bit, but I'm not too mad at myself just because I will be filming more looks using this palette in the future. So stay tuned for that, and definitely subscribe if you guys want to see what else I can create with the Norvina palette. I definitely feel like ABH palettes are well worth the money. They're extremely creamy, buildable, blendable. The pigmentation is unlike anything I have ever seen in a shadow palette. So if you guys have not tried any ABH palettes, I definitely recommend checking some of them out. My all-time favorite would definitely have to be Soft Glam. You guys have seen me use this a number of times on my channel, and it recently appeared in my July favorite. So check that out if you guys haven't seen it. I love you. I don't have much else to say except subscribe. I upload 3 new videos every single week, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday at 9 a.m. and you guys don't want to miss out on it. So until next time, I'll be sure to catch you guys all on the next one. Deuces.
Whoa, you gotta pick your head up like that?
This gets intense, babe. Congratulations, you guys. You finally made it to the very end of the video where you get to hear me talk a little bit more. I just want to remind you guys to subscribe if you guys haven't already by clicking that button right here on my shoulder, and check out some of my other videos. It would honestly mean the absolute world to me. And if you haven't already, give this video a big thumbs up. It definitely helps me out. It goes a very long way. I love you, and I gotta go. Goodbye.